What's good, family? It's your man the YB, back once again. Shout out to my doggy Lion Eye for coming through and keeping your man the YB coin buoyant at all times. No doubt about it. So, I can't lie to you, man. In today's video, your man the YB is going to be vindicated on everything he's been telling you, man, about the state of boxing in 2022, or better yet, the state of the zesty and funny style boxers in the game in 2022. Yeah? In fact, before I give you my context on it, let's just read out and the context will become clear. So, Team Bivol, who include Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and DAZN, have spoken about the Beterbiev fight, yeah? And one of the key quotes is, "It's up to the boxers to push for the fight." Here we go. This is DMITRY Bivol's manager, yeah? He says the following. So, let me give you some context. Paul Barham, the head of Top Rank, recently said he had no plans on letting Beterbiev fight Bivol unless the fight happened on the ESPN. Despite those pointed comments, Kornilov, who is Bivol's manager, thinks the fight will happen so long as the fighters continue to apply the necessary pressure. Of course the fight is possible, Kornilov told Boxing Scene. It's really up to the boxers to push for the fight to happen or not. The networks, of course, can be a barrier, but sooner or later, barriers usually are overcome, and the big fights are made. Of course we are interested in the undisputed fight against Beterbiev, Kornilov, Bivol's manager, continued. This is the fight to make in order to settle dominance and legacy in the division. So, bottom line here, if it's not already clear, is of course it's possible to make, but it's really up to the boxers to push for the fight to happen or not. Now, what this tells you is that, what have I been telling you for a long time? Yeah, people talk about the broadcasters and PBC. No, this, honestly, there's probably, I'd say, in 10% of the occasions, in 10% of the time, there's genuine issues. Promoters being weird, managers being weird. But the bottom line is, how often do we see fighters calling for a fight and it not happening? You don't see that. What we do see is, we see Ryan Garcia get a fight booked against a bum and then start calling. But the real truth is, how often when both fighters don't have a fight booked, do you see both fighters genuinely trying to make the fight and calling for it? You don't see that. And this is the same thing for me, and that's why I fell out with Bivol, because I was saying, why isn't Bivol pushing for the Canelo rematch at 168? Yeah? Team Bivol should have been all over that. Financially it makes sense. Legacy it makes sense. Beat Canelo in his own division. Canelo at one point, a month or 2 months ago, was considered to be potentially one of the best of all time. That's a fact. Yeah? And Bivol has the chance to beat that potentially best of all time and make the most money possible fighting Canelo at 168. It's legacy maxed and its finances maxed. What did Bivol do? Bivol beat Canelo, and then we haven't heard zip from him, which allowed Canelo to run off and fight Golovkin. Bivol's got no one to blame but himself. And even having said that, he said he wanted Beterbiev. Have we heard Bivol say anything? Bivol had the biggest win. He was the talk of the town. And I don't know what these managers and so-called promoters do. Well, to be fair, I made videos about it. Eddie Hearn was never going to help Bivol out. Eddie Hearn wants to cash cow Canelo to keep making money, but that's why it was on Bivol's team, Bivol's managers. They should have been putting videos out. Bear in mind, people, he just beat the man. And for that month after the fight, Bivol's name was red hot. And understandably. And no word of a lie, you know me, I track the news. I was tracking the Bivol news, and for the month after the fight, in fact to this day, since the fight, Bivol has actually put no videos out. He hasn't commented on zip. Again, which allowed Eddie Hearn to slyly move off and make the Golovkin rematch. And even now the Golovkin rematch has been made, we still ain't heard from Bivol. And there's talks of Bivol having to fight. Not having to fight, but there's talks of Bivol versus Buatsi now. Fuck. How can... You had potentially the opportunity to beat Canelo in his own division for $30 million. And you're going to get Buatsi? Who are these managers of Bivol? Who are these managers of all these clowns, to be honest with you? It's shocking management. No vision at all. Never mind no vision. Bivol didn't even use the platform. That platform was huge. What did he do with it? Nothing. We don't know what he wants. We don't know. It's just dead, isn't it? No one, to be quite honest with you, at this particular point in time, as it stands, on July 5th, Bivol is as irrelevant as he was to the masses 3 months ago before he even fought Canelo. He had a huge platform. He could have come out, and more or less forced Canelo to do the rematch. Even if he didn't want it at 168, Bivol should have been, Team Bivol, should have been out banging the drums saying, Canelo, we just popped your cherry. Don't run off. Don't run off and fight Golovkin. I thought you was a big Mexican warrior. Any Mexican warrior wouldn't want to get beat and then run off and fight an old dude. Fight us. They should have been do that, because it's all well and good, I believe what's happened is potentially Eddie Hearn has done what Eddie Hearn does. Eddie Hearn will have pacified Team Bivol and told them, don't worry, we'll fight Golovkin and then we'll fight you. But what I'll tell you, man, to remind you is, don't forget, immediately after the loss to Bivol, Eddie Hearn said, I know Canelo, he'll want the Bivol rematch immediately. That was a lie, wasn't it? So the same way that was a lie, I believe, is the same way it will be a lie when Eddie Hearn tells him, don't worry, we're just going to fight Golovkin, then we'll fight you. I don't think it's going to happen, full stop. If Canelo was going to take the rematch, in my opinion, it would have been immediately after. Now the fact that Canelo's brushed off the rematch and he's going along with the max money, I think Canelo likes the idea of fighting fights he knows he can win now. It's all well and good, when you're on the up and up. Canelo for the last 6 years, has been on the up and up and up. Always losing and never being dominant. Always winning and winning dominantly. Arguably winning more dominantly every time. And I think he enjoyed that. And I think he realised, you know what? Because it's all like, people will listen to this and say, YB, you're barking at the wrong tree. There's no way Canelo is scared of a hard fight. But that's easy to say when you're beating everyone. Do you understand? It's easy to say that Canelo loves hard fights after he's beat Plant and beat Billy Joe. But the proof's in the pudding. If Canelo loves hard fights, why didn't he take the Bivol rematch immediately? Oops. Why did he end up taking the old Golovkin who looks half of his former self? Oops. This is actually good proof that Canelo likes easy fights. Because if Canelo really liked a challenge, he'd have gone straight back in with that, no? I mean, it doesn't even make sense. And that's even more evidence of why I don't believe Bivol's going to get the rematch is, guess what? Canelo's going back down to 168. Again, if you just moved up to 175, and you struggled there against Bivol, your best bet would be to continue with the momentum. Okay, I've had one camp at 175, let's get another camp here and get more comfortable. You wouldn't go back down to 168 only to come back up again. Like I said, there's very low % chance. And Bivol doesn't have anything. All Bivol had, Bivol doesn't have a rematch clause. All Bivol had was... All Bivol has to this day is the awkwardness of it. Bivol doesn't have anything that guarantees him a Canelo rematch. And that's what I was saying. Bivol right now should have been going all the way in. Put all your chips in. Because for max money and max legacy, you need that Canelo rematch. Instead, you're going to end up with nothing now. Yeah, that one Canelo wins, great. But 2, and in his own division, would have been meteoric. Instead, in my opinion, he's going to end up with 1 win, which it is what it is. Will Bivol care? I don't know. But as a manager, my job is to maximise your revenue and maximise your legacy. Team Bivol have done neither. And now, these manager cats are exposing what I've been saying all along. Yeah, closed mouths don't get fed. And I'm not being funny, but Beterbiev says... I don't think Beterbiev's scared of... I don't even think Bivol's scared of anyone, but I don't know what it is then. Because why ain't it happening? We know... unification supersede mandatories. So we don't need to hear about any mandatories Bivol has. We don't need to hear about any mandatories Beterbiev has. Oops. So it begs the question. Bivol's own manager is saying the fighters need to want this fight. And it's not on. So how is it not on? Because you can't tell me the fight's not on because of mandatories, because we know unification supersedes. So why isn't it on then? And Bivol's own manager is saying, well, the fighters need to push for it. What are they doing? They're not pushing for it. I think so. And this video isn't just about Beterbiev and Bivol, it's about a lot of them. All these guys, this is just a blueprint. Yeah, this blueprint fits for Beterbiev and Bivol, but the hat fits everyone. These cats are more than happy not to fight each other. They love not to fight each other. And they're more than happy collecting. And the problem is, you see these days, people can make big money, 500 grand, $1 million for fighting. Fights you know you're going to win. Yeah, I think Beterbiev got like 2-3 mil for that Joe Smith fight. Why not? And in all fairness, Joe Smith wasn't a scrub, but still, we saw how the fight ended. Yeah? These guys, and in fact, Beterbiev was like a 7-1 favourite against Joe Smith, so it was never in question, was it? When you can make 2 mil for a 7-1 favourite, why wouldn't you keep doing that? Why would you really want a 50-50 fight? And unfortunately, never mind what I say. I'm just telling you what the manager's saying. His own manager is saying it's really up to the boxers. So if it's really up to the boxers and the fight isn't on, what does that say? The boxers don't want it. What other conclusions can we make? His own manager is saying, yeah, it's not really the promoters, it's not really the networks, it's the fighters. Oops. I don't know what's in Bivol's head. He's got awful management and he's making awful plays right now. I don't even like the Bivol versus Beterbiev play for Bivol. I think he should have cleaned up with Canelo and then he'd have been made for life. Set for life then. I guess he's set for life anyway. He's just made probably 5, 6, 7, 8 mil against Canelo. So he's made anyway, but still, I don't know. That whole Canelo thing was a big, huge pot of cash sitting there waiting, and you've lost it now for what? You've lost it and you haven't even got the undisputed fight. What? It's weird, man. The whole game's weird. The whole game makes no sense whatsoever. That Bivol versus Canelo fight at 168 would have been huge. And Bivol could have pushed for it. Canelo came out after the fight and said, oh, well, it was the weight and it was this, it was that. Imagine, if Bivol had been out there every day on Instagram saying, Canelo, don't worry about the weight. I'll come down to your weight at 168. Don't duck me to fight Triple G. I've popped your cherry. Yeah? I've popped your cherry and I had the weight advantage. Fine. Let me come down to 168 and get some of that prime, peak cheeks. Yeah? I want some of your prime nookie. Yeah? I'm going to come pop some of that prime redhead. Yeah? 100%. Come give me 100. No, 100. I want some of that prime redhead booty. That 168 redhead booty. Yeah? Come to pop it for you. That's what he should have been doing. Instead, we ain't seen him since. I mean, the worst thing is, we don't even get the... Me personally, I would have rather have watched Bivol versus Canelo at 168. But still, next to that is Bivol versus Beterbiev. Guess what? We get neither. We'll get Bivol versus Boazzi. Who the fuck wants to watch that? Who wants to watch that? It's watchable, but it's not, is it? It's not Bivol versus Canelo at 168, and it's not Bivol versus Beterbiev. What are these guys doing? And you know it's bad when their own management teams are coming out and saying, yeah, well, they just have to want the fight, and they're not doing it. It's all back to front, man. I'm sick of this game. Sick of it. 100%.